Founders, what's going on? You guys know I love in-person events, and they are back. The recording you're about to hear is from our most recent event where we had hundreds of founders come together, share intimate details, templates, KPIs, OKRs about their business, and it was something special, We'd love to meet you in person. If you want to see the next live events we have coming up via our schedule, the link will be down below in the description. If you're listening on iTunes, check this out on YouTube. You'll see the links in the description, or you can just Google Founder Path or Latka next event. We'd love to see you in person. In the meantime, though, enjoy this recording. It's a good one. Hundreds of software millionaires are created every week. Will our founder today get a multi-million-dollar check in the next 15 minutes? You're watching Deal or Bust, and I'm your host, Nathan Latka. Over the past 5 years, I've helped founders do over $1 billion in deals after I sold my first company in 2015. I detailed all of it in my best-selling business book, How to Be a Capitalist Without Any Capital, which has sold 30,000 copies. Our podcast has been downloaded over 12 million times, making it the most listened to business show in the world. Latka magazine is 5 times the price of Forbes and shipped to over 10,000 subscribers every single month. So the question is, will our founder today get a multi-million-dollar check in the next 15 minutes?
Okay, guys, thanks for your attention and thanks for listening to me in the morning. So I was, talking a lot about how hard it is to present after Nathan. Well, after this and all the numbers, well, it's gonna be, tough as well. Let's do this, okay? Okay, all right. So as you know, what we are doing a platform end-to-end which helps you with data, right? 3 basic offerings, end-to-end ETL. You go, we have 1,400 different connectors, writers. You can write them, we run them. It actually puts data into Snowflake, boom, right? Then there is a data science part. Anybody in your business teams can actually do data science and then have it as a part automated, to any of your systems. No, need to actually anyone to operate it. It runs as a service, as we love, all of us, right? As a service, that's what we love, right? Okay, well, the story, like Ben said it, early in the morning, the CFO, right? It's not only about numbers, it's about the story, right, as well. How we got together? Well, I've actually exited 2 companies before that. In 90s, I was actually building with my friends a large portal network, of search engines in Czech, Slovak, and sadly Ukraine. We exited that to work with Pincus. Then I actually learned that a lot of SMBs need help with marketing, right? So what we did, we built a performance marketing agency called Ataxo, servicing 15,000 companies, across the whole globe. We were using a lot of data, a lot of machine learning. I actually understood how hard it is, actually to do it, put everything together and get some results. But we did it. We had a team of 50 people doing that. Never wanted to do the same thing again. And I was thinking that, well, there has to be a better way, right? All of us, SaaS is growing, internet is growing. Everybody will need data, right? You were talking about that right 5 minutes ago, right? Data. By the way, we have been using your competitor, Metronome Software, and complaining about their UI for ages. So yeah, we're just talking about switching. So thank you. You made my day, by the way. And it's hard. So we got together. I found, these guys from Keboola, they had a consultancy agency, and actually I hired them to, do something for the bank. So I had a brief from CIO. Well, give me these data together from my calendar, how people actually work together. Data from database, CSV files. I was trying to find someone to do it, but I didn't want to build a team. So somebody recommended me to Peter, my co-founder now, and he actually did it in 6 hours, under 6 hours. We met, at 3 p.m., then we drank coffee, we love coffee, cappuccinos, so talk about kids. I come home, 12 a.m., I open up my email, this is done. Check here, log in here. I log in, I was like, fuck, how did you do it? And he came to me and was like, well, we have this internal tool. Right? And if you remember from morning, I was telling you agency, servicing, automation. That was then. And when I saw it, I was like, yeah, and tell me that your software has RESTful APIs and it's microservices based, right? I was like, yeah, it is. Well, yeah, right. I've heard that before. It was like, well, here's the GitHub link. So I look at the GitHub and it was there. I didn't sleep that night, and then next morning I came to the office and I never left. Half a year later, we actually found Keboola Industries, merged it into software. And so we were like, well, who is our core audience? It is not the geek people. Geek people like us, they can build it ourselves. We can have open software, open source software. We can put it together. We love it, right? When it's messy, we love it, right? Because that's our value, right? Nobody can do it, just us. But we were thinking about all those business leaders. People who actually come and they don't want to write code anymore. They are CEOs. They start their own companies, and they care about time to market. They care about value. And we all know that it's in data, as you said, right? But how to make it like in 1 minute. So that's why we started Keboola, okay? And as I showed you this morning, this is what happens when companies actually go with Keboola. They can bring 10 times more people to interact with data from every single business department, right? So all the data people, like tech people, do what they did, but next to them, you have 10 times more people. Every single business department. This is a client, large client in Europe, Mall Group. They actually purchased 30 different e-commerce shops in 1 year. We actually helped them to integrate data. We layered our platform on top of Hadoop, SAP, and Microsoft All Apps. And within 1 year, they are doing 400 use cases with data. And that's not just looking at the data, right?
Pavel, is this your biggest customer?
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
Okay. What does your biggest customer pay in terms of ACV?
Now it's 600,000. Yeah.
Okay, so a little over 10% of your total ARR.
These guys are paying 400,000. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, that's it. You know, like it's so easy. Everybody's trying to make it hard. It's not. It's not if you actually, the trick is we changed the architecture. We didn't think about the tools. We thought about the end result. Like the guy from the credit card company, was Jeff, right?
Ramp, yeah.
Yeah, was showing today. That was our journey. We thought, how is the world gonna look like in 5 years? And we built from that. And that allowed us to build a platform, right? So basically, the problem is, you have modern data warehouse, Snowflake. Everything's being sucked there. Snowflake solved the big data problem. But in order to operate that, you need 20 different tools. They create the processing layer, if you will. And you need to know how to operate them. We've automated that processing layer so anybody can do it. And you have 10 times more people. So you saw this, right? So we started to grow. First, we started to grow via referrals. Our original customers were biggest Groupon clone in Central and Eastern Europe called Slevomat. They are still there. They are still profitable, by the way. And they were sold for a couple billion Czech crowns, right? Then it was Rohlík Group. They started small. Nobody knew them. Their vision was to deliver food, groceries within 1 hour. Now they are a unicorn. They have 0 people that take care of their data infrastructure. Their competitor has 40 people. 40 people, 40, right?
So they're a customer of you, then they're paying you.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. They are paying us a lot of money. They love us. We love them, right? My point is, we take everything as partnerships. You know, these guys started for free when we were just testing. Fast forward 4 years, they are unicorns. We have like 5 unicorns, you know. And we, you know, like to your point yesterday, partnerships, community, that's how we operate, right? Every single kind of thing. So you saw this. I'm not gonna go too much back to it because I was talking about this morning. So we can come back to it when we talk to investors. What I wanted to show you is this. You know, yesterday Pascal was talking about the professional services, and you were talking about the professional services enterprise, etc. So I actually pulled up a split of customers, and you can see how they are growing, how the most paying customers are actually growing. It's new customers, but it's also customers who are, you know, growing their business because they are growing their companies with us. So that's our whole kind of like point, right? We have small companies that start with us, and then large enterprises, and most of them become large enterprises. So yeah. Should I leave it here for
So yeah, let's leave it here. But just in case people can't read it, the right graph, the yellow chunk at the top, are basically is your enterprise revenue, right?
Yeah, exactly. Two top tiers is enterprise revenue. The
so
left
great,
graph,
and defined as greater than $75,000 in ACV.
Yeah, it's more.
Yeah.
The left graph is actually split into the accounts, right? So enterprise accounts, corporate, mid-size. It doesn't mean that every enterprise account is now paying enterprise revenue, right? So because we come with one use case and then we grow them, right? So that's kind of like land and expand.
Okay, that's good context. So you can grab this seat here, Pavel. I'll take the clicker, and we'll get some. No, you keep the mic. You'll need the mic. So again, as a reminder, 2021. So this is a rolled up shot of what we showed at the beginning, right? So the rolled up 2021 numbers. Correct me if anything sounds wrong here, but $5.1 million in revenue. Total cost of goods sold about $1.9 million. Gross margin 62%. Some people might say that's a little bit lower than what SaaS should be. Why is that?
Well, there's if you look at infrastructure costs, we have a big infrastructure cost because we bought bulk Snowflake. Like years ago, we bought a lot of Snowflake because we got a lot of discount. We had a lot of free cash. So we kind of like bought that, and we are actually now purchasing more Snowflake than we needed. So it was a good deal for us because we had cash.
There you go. We've covered all of this stuff. We'll come back to this stuff if we need extra ammo, Ro. So before we bring on the sharks, what's the ask? What are you looking for?
Yeah, so, similar to you, we were growing and we were like, okay, we're gonna be bootstrap forever, kind of like, style. But first of all,
you stand up.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's strange to sit and talk. So, thanks. So it was kind of like, we were like, yeah. And then the market started to grow like hell, right? And everybody was like, yeah, we need data, right? Like, well, our first and most kind of like task why we did this, was to actually serve as many people as possible, right? Because we are product people. We love when people use our product. So we said, okay, but we don't want to raise, like our market is now crazy. I don't know if you guys are watching that, like companies like Airbyte with one just like slide deck, nothing, they raised $1 billion valuations. And we're like, well, that's not what we want to do. We really want to build a business, and to your point, we want to keep the options, like open. Because like one big problem in our market is a lot of companies which do just one feature raised a lot of money, and they are worth all of them billions of dollars each, so they can't merge. Right?
So give me the ask. Don't bury the lead. What are you looking for?
We are looking. Sorry,
like this guy's a dancer. Come on.
No, we are looking for.
What's the ask?
4 million. 4 million. Yeah.
Okay, so you're looking for 4 million for how much? And how much equity are you comfortable giving up?
We have valuation of 60 million. Yeah.
60 pre-money or post?
Pre-money.
Okay, pre-money. So you're looking
and
for.
we have a lead investor.
Okay, and so how much have they committed to the 4 million round?
They committed 1 million. We didn't want them more because like this purpose of this round is kind of super seed because we want people who can help us to grow in the future.
Okay, and do you want all of this to be equity capital that goes on the balance sheet or no secondary?
No, we don't care about secondary.
Okay, so as you take a seat, I'll summarize before we go for the sharks. Okay, he's looking for a $4 million round on a 60 million pre. $1 million's committed already. They've set the terms, so they've agreed to 60 million pre already. So you've got a term sheet from them.
Term sheet.
Doesn't want any secondary, looking for new investors. So I cast these sharks based off folks that are buying SaaS companies. So slightly different. Some of them do dual models. We'll sort of see what happens. Again, we don't plan this, so I have no idea what's going to happen. But let's go ahead and meet the sharks. So, and I hope they're all in here. They are. Okay, I see some of them floating around. First off is Mike Goodman. Work your way to the stage as I sort of chat about you. So Mike Goodman, work your way up here, man. We'll put you over here. The reason Mike is impressive, he's worked with a group called Forest Group, which actually this is a perfect situation because they do a blended model of secondary, but also traditional VC. You can grab that mic. Mike, you're good to go. Based over in the UK, and one of the most impressive interviews I ever did of any founder was this guy named Mikkel at Supermetrics, who basically drove all of his growth off a Google Sheet plugin, and he's killing it. It's called Supermetrics. Your partner Ken told me you guys got in that deal. I go, these guys must be really good. How did you get into that deal? And tell us what kind of deals you're looking for today.
So we are actually based in New York with an office in London, but Ken, my partner, moved to London, so he thinks we're based in London now. But
that's a thing within VCs, right? The startup yarn.
Absolutely, and we're in Canada. We're less of a traditional VC and more of a combination advisor, family office, engaged investor, where we like to partner with firms where we think we can add real value, introductions to partners, customers, advice around ultimate exits, et cetera. And so we dive in there. We were introduced to Mikhail, also super impressive, in 2019, invested there.
What was the check size there? Do you remember?
It was a small secondary. Like that company's been profitable since inception. It's a unicorn now. It's never needed primary, which is great. We were early investors in Fabric, which is killing it in Seattle in the headless e-commerce space. This is really interesting to me, we'll get to other people. Interesting to me thinking about how Supermetrics is killing it on the data side, and this is a kind of more broader based play there.
Oh yeah, Supermetrics are great. They are great when you start with the data. For a lot of agencies, they did a great job helping them to go to Data Studio.
Mike, before I bring up your competition, do you want to make an offer and shut this thing down now?
I'm intrigued at 60 pre. I mean, because the data speaks. I'm going to make one embarrassing comment for you. Can you bring the P&L back up?
Yes. I know what you're going to say exactly.
Okay, so what's going on? You fire your entire R&D staff?
Oh, no, I thought you were going to say something different about the... Okay, let
Bring the monthly P&L up. What happened in November, December?
Yeah, that's what I thought. Well, what happened is that this first two things, we parted our ways with our CFO in November. Mm-hmm. And so he was great. He was from South Africa, but for 2 years, and then 2021 in Corona, he kind of like burned out. It was a little bit mental, and he didn't tell us about that. And so when we found out, we were like, shoot, dude, we need to change, right? So then, since then, we started to do only like accounting numbers and everything, kind of like growing, hiring 40 people and doing that. So we're like, well, we're gonna do just numbers we need. So when we did this screenshot, it was not backfilled yet. So we didn't fire them. This data just didn't show it. And I was pretty clear about it when we did it.
Yeah. That makes good sense. It's a good question. Well, there's interest. This is a better situation that you're only doing primary, because that's, I think, probably more interesting. So we'll go on. We'll keep moving. Again, try and keep, I know it's difficult. We're going to try and keep short, sweet, punchy versus long, drawn out. It'll be much more interesting, better. We'll get more in a short amount of time. So second shark I want you guys to meet, in addition to Mike, is Justin. So let me go forward here. Justin Johnson is one of Scott's team at Camber Partners. You met Scott yesterday. He was up for Dealer Bust as well.
Nice to meet you.
Justin, thanks for jumping up here, man. Tell us a little bit about what kind of deals you're looking for now at Camber.
Yeah. Hey, guys. I know Scott told you a lot yesterday, but we love product-led growth companies, 3 to 15 million ARR that are looking with help for...
Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, sales and go-to-market.
And so, Justin, what's your quick take on this? Like hot, not hot, interested, cold? What are you thinking?
We're intrigued. I think the biggest question we would have is, what your goals for the business are long-term, because we are usually control investors and looking for majority.
Yeah, I was actually talking to Scott. He reached out to me after we had a session, and he told me like the same thing. And I was like, well, Scott, that's not really interesting to us in the present time, which was in summer. And the reason for that is... we
Pavel, just to be clear, what's not interesting? A majority buyout?
Yeah, the majority buyout. Yeah.
Okay, so let's let that sit for a second. We'll get Kevin up, and then we'll let the back and forth start. So you guys also met Kevin yesterday, Growth Stack Partners. As Kevin's working up to the stage, remember, sort of search fund model here, so another model, all right, sort of committed capital, looking for a deal, wants to go do that deal and run it. Valuation, again, $20 to $100 million range. And then, again, just some additional context. So obviously, $5 million in revenue, bootstrap, slightly different than where we were yesterday. We will, again, see where this goes. Again, I will just share with you guys, this is your show, but quicker, punchier, better is better, and I'll try and move the slides around to support your docs. We've also given all of the sharks ahead of time the full deck so they can ask better questions. So on that note, Mike, do you want to maybe start us off with a question for Pavel?
Sure. So one thing that was, I'm just curious, you sort of have how are you moving from, who's your target customer within the organization, right? And how do you then get them to pay a lot of money over time?
Great question. So our target, we have 4 stakeholders when we go to the organization, depending on the size of the organization. So I will split it into SaaS companies and then enterprise, right? So just make it easy. In SaaS companies, it's usually the founder. So when they start, they actually know what they want to do with data, but they either don't have a data team, they have a fractional data team, or they were trying to be patient with their data team and nothing happened. So we go in and say, hey, dude, we helped, like Rohli Group they are now unicorn, product board, unicorn, these guys, unicorn. And the secret is we were founders. So we know what you're looking for. It's not just another tool. You want to solve it, right? And when we go to enterprise, it's a little bit different. So.
Who at the enterprise? Those are the hard ones to get to.
Exactly. So in the enterprise, it's usually a combination of 4 people. So the first one, we go after, if they have a head of data tribe, we go after them. Because, it means that they are already moved into kind of like agile way and they work cross-functionally. So do they have Slack? Do they have Microsoft Teams? Do they have, Google Docs? Are they, publicly, grouping into guilds, etc.? Do they have head of data tribe? That's our person, right? Because he or she is being, yelled at from everybody else. It's like, oh, you give me data from Hadoop. Well, I can't, it takes too long. Or, yeah, let's move to Azure. It's cloud. Yeah, but I can't let 600 people there because there's no governance, right? So that's our first person. Then we go to head of personalization tribe, right? Because they have the biggest problem. They've been sold on CDP, they've been sold on everything. Guess what? It just doesn't work. It does work in pockets. It doesn't work across the whole company. Then we have head of architecture, because they are tasked with design the system, how it should work, And everybody's like, well, it's easy, it's cloud, right? Like, yeah, but we still have data in Teradata and Oracle and Hadoop, and we need to use it. So how am I going to design it, right? And that's kind of like, 3 of them.
And then, so how do you target these people?
Well,
You tell me where to go. You tell me where to go, Pavel. I'll drive.
One or two more slides. There is actually the partnership slide. So we go with more in forward. Yeah. So we are all about partnership. So like in kind of like SaaS founders, we go with he goes with coaches. We go with something we call experts. Small guys who have 1 to 3 people, in their boutique data firm, and they are helping, like as a fractional data people, and they don't want to run the system. They just want to get fast to that. So that's our first type of partner. In the enterprise, we partner with these guys. And we partner with Fireball, we partner with ThoughtSpot, and Exasol. Exasol has been the fastest database ever. And they are German, and they just went to cloud. For the cloud version, they actually chose us to embed us in their UI. So every single customer has actually that. If you, Nate, can you click on that month by last 2 months?
Here,
No,
I'll if you want to
Thanks.
drive, you drive too. But again, guys, we want to save time, Pavel, for you to ask them questions
Yeah.
too. So the shorter the answers,
Okay,
the better.
that's short answer. Let's save the details for it later.
Okay, Justin, you fire away. What do you got?
Yeah, Pavel, first of all, congrats on the growth. Very exciting. I have a couple. First, in digging around online, I couldn't find much about you guys. So I wanted to ask about the self-serve channel, and looks like most of your sales motion is currently outbound. Have you guys done much experimentation with the self-serve?
Yeah, totally. Like, if you look at the graph that I shared somewhere here, it's just like, this is outbound, but this is all self-served. So it's now, since January 2021, 4,000 actually people self-served. So that's all self-served. And that's the, start Keboola for free, try Keboola. We publish a lot of content, on our blog, and we have like now 30, 40,000 people coming to our website, from organic. We also started, we hired a head of growth from the Rohli Group, our unicorn client, and he came in June, so he started the growth hacking and PPC marketing, etc. So, yeah.
And
if you look at Capter and G2, we have 5-star ratings there.
Gotcha. So how much, so I saw sales and marketing was about 30% of sales last year. How much of that was sales and how much was marketing?
That's great. We started in, if you attribute to marketing just advertising cost and then that. So without salaries, we started to actually advertise in May, June. We started with 3,000-4,000. We moved to 15,000 a month. And we have a content department in Slovenia, which we pay $6,000. They create content, etc. So this is pretty much plus the events we did, right? So we did Big Data London, which was in supporting inside sales with partners. Am I doing that or are you doing that?
We both control it.
Okay.
We want the audience to be able to follow along.
Yeah, I was like, that's a mind control.
Yeah.
And,
that's good.
And so those are our direct costs for advertising related, and then there are people. What you can see in there, we actually last year we started the inside sales thing. So when I was talking to Scott in summer, I was like, hey, what do we want to do? We want to see if our product-led motion can actually start scaling, right? So yeah, I think it can, because we did 4,000 people and now 400 are using it on a monthly basis and 100 have already paid, right? And we've upsold 10, which I was going to show. And then we started our inside sales in September. And now we have 10 people there, and the first cohort, we are closing the first client. So there is actually, later on, if you want to see a detailed number for that, they are there.
Kevin, where are you at? What are you thinking?
Yeah, okay, I've got a couple questions around things I did not see in the deck. So you've got 10 salespeople today, and how many of those are enterprise or dedicated to enterprise?
Oh, great question. So we hired our first enterprise person in December 2020. He's a guy from Teradata. He was one of their top 5 sellers. In the first year, he actually started 5 POCs with enterprise clients. And as you could see, mate, can you get that?
You can control the sides.
Yeah. So he did. He actually closed the first enterprise client, which was under 12 months, Global Payments, which is a large company, and the whole, here. So you can see it here on the left side. You can see the new clients which started in January, February, and the global payments are there. If you go by one, the first one is pay as you go, so freemium, product-led to your question. The second one, Aldana Monsoon, is with Exasol. That Monsoon, if you live in London, you know Monsoon, right? And Quartz Media is kind of like inbound. Clever Maps is partners. Proficio is product-led motion and our community. And the Pet Center is referral, community referral, and the partners. And Global Payments was developed by our Teradata guy. The reason why we hired from Teradata is exactly what I was saying before, because like every enterprise has Teradata. They are doing $600 million just in Europe. And they are afraid of cloud. They don't know what to do with it. So that's a great partnerships work to me.
What's the mix of U.S. versus non-U.S. customers?
We have about 30% in US and the rest is Europe. Yeah.
I saw one of your strategic initiatives was kind of expanding the partner motion. This is kind of a loaded question, but have you seen any opportunities at the partner level to partner on features or technology or even talent?
Yeah, so as I was mentioning here, when you ask about features, out of these, we actually partner, it's a product-led partnerships, right? So we can like extend or augment the functionality of our partners. So when I talk about Teradata, we actually have Teradata backend in Keboola. So like if you have Teradata inside, we actually extend that, the possibility to actually work the data with any cloud data. If you actually have Exasol, right, as Monsoon does, you don't have in cloud any processing layer on top of it. So it's a pure database. That's what we do, right? So we augment that. The similar is with ThoughtSpot. We do something with Firebolt. And on the right side, you have the partnerships, which are very important for us because they are both clients and partners. And that's for us, has been a story, like clients and partners, right? So Harry, we were talking about the session before was about the hospitality tech. So Harry is one of the largest hospitality techs, right? They actually support Dunkin' Donuts, Wendy's, and all of the large brands you would know. They have about 100,000 locations, like in their POS and ERP for hospitality. All of the data is in Keboola.
So guys, 5 more minutes of questions before we get into like deal terms, valuations, things like that. So again, shorter, better. We'll get more questions in.
Any of those smaller partners you wish you could go by?
Sorry?
Any of those smaller partners that you wish you could go just acquire?
No, not yet. It's not time yet.
Gotcha.
As you, how much, we'll just call it operational best practices, do you put into place for your clients? That not just collecting the data, but using
Love it.
And
Great
then
question.
how industry specific and good you need to be over time.
Sure, can you raise your hand? That gentleman with the nice haircut is our head of professional services. And that question you have is exactly spot on. Because what we found early on, we can't just give them technology. So what we developed something which we called BDM, business data modeling, which is kind of like describes how data flows inside the company without talking about technology. On top of that, we developed templates. And we also, if you look in our website, we have a Keboola Academy, where everybody, from our clients, a lot of customer success, people can go there, they learn a lot of things. So depending on type of client, a lot, because we want to help. It's about the community. And also stickiness.
Can you describe the competitive landscape?
Oh, yeah, that's all of it. So if you go for direct competition, like it was hard for us, like last couple of years because like people, what is your direct competition? Well, Palantir is the only one, but nobody knows too much about them. But what's coming out of Palantir on Reddit? Yes, they have a very similar mission. They have a very similar vision what they are trying to achieve. Lately, last year, they started Mozart Data, Y42, and Wild App out of Netherlands, Germany, and Silicon Valley. They are still very small, very early, with the same end-to-end. And that's direct competition. Indirect competition is people actually putting together those 20 tools in modern data stack, right? And operating via DevOps, CI/CD pipelines. We love them. Actually, you can view them as competition, or you can view them as the start of pipeline. That's what we choose. And so we actually now integrate our platform with modern data stacks. So yesterday we actually integrated with HighTouch. We are now integrating fully with dbt and all others. So you can have still the same Keboola experience, but if your tech people already built something there, you can just use it. They can use their workflows, but you can augment it.
All right, Mike, let's go back over to you. So I'm standing right in front of you guys, right in the center back. 60 million valuation, 5 million revenue, growing, sort of asking again for 4 on 60 pre, $1 million already committed. Couple questions, and then again, Pavel, you can feel free to go back. Okay.
Yeah. If I made the 5 million was at end of last year, so now at the end of the Q1, we are actually running up on 6. So,
Mike, what do you think about valuation?
Well, I guess my first question is, who is this bozo lead you have that's only putting in $1 million?
Sorry. Oh yeah. No, that's we didn't want. The whole reason why we are trying to raise just a seed round is we have never raised money. We are outside kind of like US, right? So we understand that once we really want to scale, this is not gonna be our last round, right? So what we are trying to do, we are trying to learn as well, and we are trying to put together a group of people who actually will help us, like advisory board and stuff, right? So this bozo lead is called Presto Ventures, and the guys are all our previous clients. They all had companies running on Keboola. They sold them. One of them, they had Stories BI. They sold it to Workday, right? And then they did a Workday analytics team in Prague, right? Then they started their VC. And so we asked them actually, if they would want to do it and lead it, to do all of the work, right? So there's a lot of work, right? And so like how much, everybody's asking, how much do you want to raise? Do you want to raise 30 million, 50 million, whatever? No, not now, we don't need it now, in 10 months, right? 16 months, yeah, right? But now we don't need it, so, yeah. But obviously, as I said, we are new at this game, so maybe there is a better advice, I don't know.
And I missed your earlier session. Tell me, what is your prior entrepreneurial record or your teams? Yeah.
So me personally, I did with my colleagues in 98, 99, we did a search engine portal called Atlas. It was part of the MSN network. So we did in Czech, Slovak, and Ukraine. We sold it to Warburg and Pincus. Later on, I did a company called Ataxo, which was servicing 15,000 clients, in performance marketing. All of that was automated through machine learning, etc. We did a lot of software because we love software, and then we sold that to private group. Yeah. I also did one thing which didn't work out.
Haven't we all?
Yeah. Full disclosure.
So Mike, what do we think about the valuation?
I think the valuation is fair, right? I guess from sort of our standpoint, we think about ourselves as co-investors, right, and value-added investors. So I think the key for us would be to find, you have a lead that sounds like it's a local friend, slightly above a friend and family lead, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Coming back to that, you said like your goal is to help and build the value. That's exactly why we are doing small round, by the way, now, because we want to see who actually brings the value, right? So like, how do you do it? There is a lot of talk, from large venture capital companies in New York mainly that bring a lot of value, but what does it mean? Like he was talking about, he was sitting at the business meetings and like, yeah, no value. So what does it mean? I don't mean to be rude, but I'm truly curious. Aren't you all?
Huh? Mike, how do you guys help how'd you help Mikkel at Supermetrics?
Well, just to be clear, we're sort of the opposite of a large New York Silicon Valley venture firm, right? It is my money, right? It is my partner's money, right? We don't have LPs. It is our money. So if we invest $500,000, that is way more than the VP at Insight has at stake personally when they invest $100 million.
How did you know what I'm talking about?
Right, and the key is if you talk to the big New York firms, no, whatever, principal level and above. Don't take a call from an associate. Don't take a call from somebody that doesn't have their title on their on their email, etc. No offense to them. Like if you're a player. From our standpoint, though, we only invest in things that we can help. So we've done a lot of work in retail technology. We are helping our client Fabric, which is a headless e-commerce platform, connect with e-commerce services companies that implement, Salesforce, Adobe, Magento, et cetera, and trying to get them to invest in the Fabric platform because you need partners to help you implement to big retailers.
I'm sorry,
As an
when you say
example.
you're trying to help them to, to invest in those partners, how exactly they are your clients?
So
already,
we have done, on our advisory side, we have done transactions with IBM, Deloitte, Capgemini, Accenture, et cetera. So we know them. All these people are good business partners for actually several of our investments.
Yeah.
And we can introduce them to the right people so that those services firms will invest the time and resources to be
Got it.
partners.
Well, that's actually very interesting because like one of our unicorn clients is called Shipmonk, if you heard about them. So they are like half of the Toronto, how it's called, Shopify sellers actually use them. And the second logo in the right, Dataluke, they actually built, like you asked me about the services, they built a template on top of Keboola, which, like one click and you get all of your e-commerce data, like product data, market attribution, and stock, data and prediction. So,
Justin, what do we think about the valuation?
I think the valuation is fair. And guys, this is very common. As investors, a lot of the times selling money is just as much of a pitch as selling your company is. And so, congrats to Pavel, because it sounds like you've built a great business. And I think
not me, the whole team.
Yeah, and team involved as well, obviously. But this is one that we're absolutely intrigued on. But the only variable is whether you're interested or not.
Yeah,
So,
I have a question for you as well.
Sure.
So like, it's been like you guys seem like really nice guys. Don't get me wrong, right? And
Oh God.
I mean, no, there's like, and I have a question. Like, why do you so much insist on like owning the majority? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a totally valid question. We have a very flexible LP base and some incredible LPs. Part of where we play in the middle market is, and the reason I asked the question about M&A, presents an opportunity where you can start to do incremental add-ons to the business. And from a financial perspective, when you have a control position, it opens up the aperture for more growth engineering. Now, we kind of hover around the growth stake, so that's not like a total non-starter, that 51%, but our check sizes are intended on being between 15 and 25.
Yeah, got it. Well, the reason, isn't it kind of like counterintuitive a little bit? Like you invest in the founder and his team or her team, that actually drove the business, and then you want to control the business?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Like, why didn't you build it from scratch? I mean, like.
Valid point.
Sorry, he
Valid
asked
point.
me to ask questions I have in my mind. Sorry, it's his fault.
I said you can push back. This is good though. This is how it works. Go.
I don't mean to-
I love it.
I don't mean to be disrespectful. Sorry, if I'm crossing the line, just like slap me. I'm like.
I've had founder calls that have been much worse. So it's a totally valid question. I think we have people in our operating quiver that are much better and smarter than I am on the operating side. So my background is kind of software PE and investing. I would say that when you have a VP of sales in our quiver like Chad Savoy, who is first VP of sales at Datadog and SolarWinds, we're kind of standing up this centralized center of excellence on the sales and marketing side. And we're looking to partner with portfolio companies very intimately and hands-on and complementing what they've built with a very niche expertise.
So how did it work with Pipedrive? How did you help? Pipedrive has a development center in Prague, so we know them intimately, right? They are friends. They do meetups in our offices. So
Yeah, to be honest, I wasn't very close to Pipedrive, so that was Scott Steele from Rembrandt, and I'm actually fairly new to Camber, but that expertise is really scaling the self-serve channel and not bringing in an outside sales force until it's necessary.
okay,
Let's move on to Kevin. Kevin, how are we feeling about a $60 million valuation?
So I'm enjoying our first date. I'm not really in love yet, but maybe we'll get there.
I fell in love only
alright.
with my wife when I first saw her, so don't worry.
Yeah, so you articulated the message very well, and in the same way that I would articulate the message around why we look for majority or controlling ownership. And similarly, like VP sales in our team was former VP sales for Salesforce.com in the early days. And so bringing sales and marketing to the table and accelerating growth is one of our strengths. And there is value for us and for our investors to have controlling interest when we're not only injecting capital, but injecting expertise in a management team and resources in our network that can help accelerate growth. So the idea is we're not just helping with capital, but we're also helping you be a better CEO and a better voice of brand.
Yeah.
Thrilling.
And
I'm processing this.
That's right.
We're definitely the black sheep at the conference, though.
There's a fine line between if there's secondaries involved, I'm all for it. Founders building wealth, I think it's fantastic. So the marriage has to happen at some point, right? If you're going to go this route. But Pavel, do you have any questions for Kevin?
Well, I think it's a very similar position, right, to what you guys have. But like it's always intriguing. Like when you are sitting, your partner was talking about it yesterday, right? Like we think that we totally fail in every day, right? Every day is a crisis, like when you're building the business. And he said, well, when you look from outside, we can project what's going to happen or whatever, right? So it's very intriguing, don't get me wrong, for everybody who's probably sits here, right? Oh, we have a head of sales from Salesforce, and he's going to save you and be 10 times better. I'm also an angel investor, and I've invested in 15 companies. I've never seen it work, honestly. So I'm not saying it sounds too good to be true, So I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying I've never seen it. I would love to see that because it's just like having a partner which helps you. That's what anybody can ask for, right?
It's a good point, Paul. Try and angle yourself out so everyone can see you too. I know you're facing the sharks, but try and open your body. There you go.
Sorry,
That's
guys.
great.
And
yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to touch briefly. So I come from a platform, Vista Equity Partners, and the concept of having an in-house consulting and operating team can fail, and then it can succeed beautifully when it's at scale. And so I think there are a lot of Vista wannabes out there. And when you combine and complement a management team's expertise, and you can add real value, if we're not able to do that, it's not a deal that we're going to want to do. So one more thing I'll add.
Can I have a question? Sorry.
No, you may not.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
So no, the only thing I'll say is it just structurally, right? What you're looking for doesn't work for these guys, and it happens to work for me, which is great. But there's other investors out there, et cetera. But I think the smartest thing you're doing is you're not trying to raise 20 or 30 or 50 million at whatever valuation, which locks you into a certain path, in or out. This absolutely increases your flexibility, raising a small minority round, reasonable valuations in these crazy SaaS times, right? Et cetera. And that creates all sorts of options for you in the future.
That's exactly why I'm actually asking this question, because there's some certain path, right? And you describe exactly what we want to do with this round, right? We also understand that in next rounds, it can go Vista way, it can go different ways, right? So I'm very sometimes curious. So when you said the Vista, and I have in my head the Partech guy, right, who said, well, we try to build Warren Buffett with synergies, and you're now pitching me on the synergies, and he said he doesn't work, right?
Visto has worked.
Yeah, I know Vista has worked. Yeah. So I'm just like in my head, it's just like ridiculous. But you are totally right. Yeah.
Okay, we want to move into getting to the point where you're making an offer or you're saying you're out and why. So we'll do. It sounds like there's two: one to Justin, one to Kevin, then Pavel. Your last comments or questions, and then we'll move into deal or not. Justin, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so on top of the operating engagement, the one thing, you have a lot of choices as a founder, and clearly it sounds like you're choosing the path that makes the most sense to you right now, trying to raise as little capital as possible. You also have optionality as a founder, and if you want to gamble and let it ride, in the day of old VCs, it was frowned upon when founders took out money along the way. And so we try to walk that balance of aligning with management and allowing them to share in the upside with institutional capital backing them and take another bite at the pie, while also de-risking themselves from other strategies. So this is absolutely something we'd be interested in. We would be able to write a check for 25 to 35 in the 7 to 9x range. Just comes down to what you want to do. So totally understand, but yeah, thanks so much.
Okay, let's go to Kevin real quick, and then we'll wrap up Pavel, and then go deal.
Sure, and I do want to close the loop on the one question about the partnership and so forth. I mean, one of the multipliers is that you're multiplying your network overnight by bringing in a partner, right? So it's not just about, are we going to bring in a new strategy to accelerate growth, but it's also, there are people on my team that can make calls, and this is true of all of us. We know people who can become new clients or start referring new clients. So it's not just about having a new funnel, it's about having more connections than you have today.
Yeah.
Pavel, on that note,
Yeah.
anything else? Okay, Kevin, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to talk about offer.
Okay. Oh yeah, you want to get into it for it? Okay, hey, go for it. But let's go into it. So go and either make an offer or say you're out and why.
Yeah. So bottom line, my investing committee really won't look at anything anymore where we're not able to commit at least 15 million capital. So if you're, I know you want to keep this round small, seed round, but I would say a $15 million commitment would be minimum for us.
Got it. Thank you.
Well, so Pavel, do you want to? So you could increase the valuation and still only sell the same amount of equity if he has to want a $15 million check. There are multiple. There are multiple levers you could pull.
Well, yeah. I mean, like with kind of like already playing in my head how cocky it sounds, right? And my grandma was always, don't be cocky, right? And I mean, like, it sounds all great, guys. And I mean, like, you said it perfectly. We were making what makes sense to us right now, right? And we want to keep the options for the company open. In that same time, everything you say makes sense. But I mean, like, how do I know? It's our first date, right? So, like, why don't you join this round, for $1 million and show us how you bring the value to the table, and then we can do the next round, right? Together with you, Kevin,
let's stay hyper focused here on Kevin real quick. So is that a deal breaker for you if you can't put 15 million to work on day one?
Yes.
Okay, guys, give Kevin a round of applause. Kevin, bump off stage.
Thank you, Colin.
All right, and then there were two. What are you thinking, Nick? Or sorry, Mike. What are you thinking?
No, I really listen. I love the company. We like investing in Europe. I think there's probably maybe the number should be close. Well, I have to look at your use of funds. I think what we have found, generally speaking, European companies are underfunded from what they really need, right? So, but you're in the right ballpark for, I think, creating options and not trying to go crazy. So that's all good. You're in a sexy space. It seems like you're better, faster, stronger to be determined. So anyway, yes, I'm totally in, period. Like 100%.
What's the offer?
Send me the wire transfer instructions.
What's the offer, Mike?
I have a Revolut card.
Are you giving him what you asked for? So say what the offer would be.
Yeah, the offer. Well, I got to check with my investment committee, but yeah, we're in for whatever checks. We're a small fund, right? So we'll fill in with probably with a U.S. or London co-investor for the round of $4 million, euros, or whatever at 60. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Congrats. Yeah. All right.
And just to be clear, too, this is to make it as real as possible, but obviously diligence will happen afterwards. We want to get as close to sort of what it would feel like, obviously, live. So this is...
We are talking about second date, right?
Now send me every single piece of paper your company's ever produced for diligence.
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry.
All right. So, Justin, what are you thinking?
So we have a very flexible investment committee. And I told Scott, you can't get mad at me if I do a deal on your behalf. But
I would take advantage of that.
That'll make him happy.
Yeah, the fund has a mandate. And while I can't speak on behalf of Scott as an angel, I'm sure he would actually love to get in at that capacity, just given the dynamics. And seems like we may not be the best fit at this time. Yep. And for that reason, I'm out.
I agree with you, but thank you.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff, guys.
Pleasure, man.
Do we hug now?
So I think you guys hug and shake it out, and you go do GD. There you go, guys. Give a round of applause.
Okay. Just full disclosure, right?
Yeah,
so
you guys have. Hey, listen.
Saying,
3 minutes. How do you feel? Yeah. Etc. Go ahead.
No, what's intriguing to us is like, yes, the partnerships you helped, like Fabric, retail space, right? That's a big portion of our clients, right? So that's really, really, really interesting. Europe, which is hard, for US folks. It's really hard, and we are in the Eastern Europe, right? So it's kind of like hard, and that's why we are starting with this small round, right? And I think it's really interesting, and let's keep this going. I would say from my side, and let's get to it right after we stop here. I have a call with my partners actually right now. So,
how much equity do you own right now?
we have actually, that's a great question. We have 10% ESOP. So and then the rest of equity is split third by third. So.
So I guess to end things, what could potentially blow this deal up in diligence? One thing.
One? Only one?
You pick one. What's the most likely thing that you can just blow this sort of deal up?
The most likely thing would be, probably a loss of one or more of major customers.
All right, guys, give it up for Pavel. Give it up for Mike. Incredibly
Thank you, guys.
brave.
You've been awesome.
Thanks, guys.